Hello, everyone. Welcome to $1 Million Healer. I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to find this live stream. And as always, I have two screens open. The screen where I'm looking at you and my computer screen where I'm looking at the comment section. So if you see me looking this way, it's because I want to read all of your amazing comments as you find your way to the space. Hello, everyone. I am really excited for this week. I'm really excited for the internal shifts that you're going to have. This isn't a course. This isn't just about information. This is already about transformation, change. So as you find your way to the live, maybe you want to say hi in the comment section. Hello, Anita. Where are you watching from? I know for some of our Americans, it's very early in the morning, so I'm grateful that you're here. I know for some of you guys, it's really late at night, so I'm also grateful that you're here. And some of you that are more the European time zone, it's in the middle of the day. So I'd love to see who's watching in the comment section. Whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay. And if you are watching the replay, I'd love for you to put hashtag replay as you come on, so I can see. And if you've got any questions, you can also tag me, whether you're watching live or not. Hello. Okay, Sandra, Carolyn, amazing. So we've got Pia in Denmark, Anita, 9 a.m. in New York. I actually know that it's 9 a.m. in New York because I was figuring out all the time zones this morning, and I'm going to start bringing the music down. I was looking at all the time zones this morning, and I saw that in America it's very early. I think for PST it's 6 a.m. So if you guys are here at 6 a.m, again, I'm very grateful. Okay, we've got Carolyn from Hampshire, UK, brilliant. Piers in Denmark, Anita in New York, Sam, hello beautiful, you look dressed for summer. Sam always says this to me, we both live in southern Spain, and she says you always look like you're dressed for summer. It's because I use the heating, that's the only reason. We're not experiencing scarcity and heating here. Maybe we can talk about that, we can bring that into $1 Million Healer point. Hi Maribel from the UK, but Maribel, you must not be British with that name. Where are you from? Christy in California. Must be very early, but Christy loves an early morning. Karen visiting in the UK. Hi Kim. Amazing. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. Okay, we're going to go into what we're doing today and this week. Just note that this is the pre-party. So the pre-party isn't necessarily where you're going to get the bulk of the content. The pre-party is where we prepare ourselves for what's to come, both structurally and internally. I'm going to guide an activation with you guys today, which I think that you're going to find ridiculously beneficial. Not only to get clarity about where you're at finishing 2025 and going into 2026, but also to start shifting your vibration. And you're going to hear me speak to a lot of things like this: energy, vibration, frequency. And there's a reason for that I'm going to explain in a second. But let's just begin the call by holding an intention together. So even if you're listening to the replay, just pause for a second. Okay? A second's awareness and intention can change the trajectory of your life. In a second, we can catch ourselves going into a sabotaging behavior. We can catch ourselves going into a repetitive behavior that doesn't help us. But when we bring awareness, we can choose change. So we're just going to bring that intention here now. So close your eyes. And we're just going to start to inhale through our nose. I'm going to exhale through our mouth. Inhaling through our nose, exhaling through our mouth. Inhaling through our nose, exhaling through our mouth. And you're going to return to a natural breath. And I just want you to set an intention for this week, as if it was a yoga practice, as if it was something that we were intentionally creating together. What's your intention to get out of this week? Are you just going to be curious and dip your toes in and hope for a result? Or is your intention to listen for the thing that changes everything? Is there an action intention? Is there a decision that you need to make this week? Is there a shift that you internally desire? Just bring this to your awareness. And I want you to visualize and see just a bed of soil in front of you. And all of us together, whether you're listening now or later, it doesn't matter, it's all connected. I want you to see yourself taking a little seed and planting it in the soil. And that little seed represents that intention, the decision that you're making, maybe a commitment in your life that you are taking. You might even want to plant it and pop some water on it. And then just finding the feeling of certainty that you will get this intention, that it's done. And maybe bring a smile to your face. Just getting in a clear place so that you can receive what we do here today and this week and next week if you come to the bonus sessions. Okay, welcome to the space. Hello everyone. I'm so grateful that you're here, whether you're listening now or later. Let's go straight into what $1 Million Healer represents. I want to set the context here for you today. I had someone ask me on one of our calls, Hannah, is $1 Million Healer only for people that want to scale a healing business? And the answer is no, although that's going to be part of it, because that is in fact what I teach. $1 Million Healer is two things. The first thing that it represents is a gold standard in internal work. Not all internal work is created the same. And so it's a really interesting timing in which we're doing this training. It's really interesting in the sense that 2025 going into 2026 is bridging us to 2027. And I'd love to know in the comment section if you've heard about vibrationally, energetically, what's happening in 2027. But 2027 is what's considered the beginning of the new era. Now, I don't want to go too much into floaty language that some of you guys shut down and you go, whoa, that's way too woo for me, because I know in this space, we're going to have a great variety of people. I'm going to have people that are super energetics and you love it and it's going to be, a refresher more than new stuff, although there will be some new stuff. And for some of you guys, this is going to be all very different concepts that you may not have heard before. So when I talk about a new era, I don't mean that suddenly the world's going to burn and we're going to have a next world or something very melodramatic that we can imagine being in a Hollywood movie. I'm talking about there's a shift in consciousness, a rising, a changing. And you may have noticed this in small ways. And I'm curious if you have, and you can let me know again in the chat. Maybe you 10 years ago, when you did a certain thing, or even 5 years ago, when you worked really, really hard, you'd get these results. And yes, they were exhausted. And yes, it was, you would get that. But now it's not really working anymore. You might notice that there were things that 5 years ago were annoying to you, but you were able to tolerate it. It was annoying, but it wasn't like all-consuming. And it's now very different. What you could tolerate no longer feels tolerable. Although we've been taught as young people, oh, the most tolerating person is the best one. It's actually wrong. Because what we tolerate, we attract, we allow in our lives. If we tolerate relationships that don't work for us, if we tolerate a financial situation that we don't actually want, nothing's going to change. So consciousness is rising. What does that mean? There is a change in consciousness. There's a change in us as humans, right? And so this hard effort 3D way isn't working like it used to. And also we're being pushed into this evolution. And one of the mechanisms that we're being pushed into this evolution is that there's less tolerance for something in our lives that we could have stomached prior, that we don't anymore. And if you guys have got any ideas of what those things could be, I would love to see it in the chat. The big shift that is happening is that manifestation has changed. Now, those of you guys that have been with me for a long time, which some of you guys have, and manifestation, well, in the chat, what is manifestation? That would be a great place to start. Manifestation has changed, and what I mean by that is that the way that we create our reality is shifting. Prior, we could get away with being energetically sloppy. You could kind of do the work, you could do a few affirmations, and boom, you got the result. But now, manifestation and cause and consequence is speeding up. So when we put something into the universe, the result is coming to us faster and faster and faster. This is a good thing. It's designed to push us into learning. And those that are willing to build their life inside out, for those of you guys that don't really know what that means yet, that's fine. That's what we're going to do this week, right? The rewards are getting faster. And I'm going to tell you a really fun story about this today as well. But simultaneously, if we're stuck in our old ways and we don't want to change, we may notice that that's getting harder and harder, and there are greater consequences to that. So we're in an exciting time of change. And a time of change means that there is more possibility than ever. What you've lived until now, amazing, exciting, but it's not even the top of the iceberg of what's possible for you. So going into 2026, it's this bridge year. 2025, it's really this energy dominant reality we're stepping into. And now we're kind of being trained into that. Let me check the comments before I go on. Hello, Sandra, are amazing. I live in Spain too, but cold north in Denmark. Amazing. What else we got here? I do want to change, just don't know what or how. Then you're in the perfect place, because that's what we're going to go through. Life on board a yacht for the last 15 years, and now I have an identity shift and feeling it too tight to breathe. Amazing. Well, I'm so happy that you're here, Sam. That's how I feel. Years ago, manifesting wasn't a problem. Now things seem to not move. You're going to probably understand why at the end of this week. Sandra says, you know where I live. I do know where you live, Sandra. I do. Does that sound creepy? I do know where you live. So an example of this is that I really teach this inside out creation process. And I'm going to really explain this to you throughout the week. But one of my clients that has come to many, many sessions that I've done before on energetics, she had an experience recently, which I'm going to share some of the details for, but not all of the details, because obviously I want to hold a level of privacy. But I really think this explains how fast rewards are happening, but also how fast consequences are happening. So this client, okay, let's call her M. She messages me and she said, a few weeks ago, probably about a week ago, I don't know the exact timeline, about a week ago, she looks at her cash register because she has a brick and mortar business, and she sees that what they've made for the month is 89 cents. Now, what do most people do? They let the outside world drive their inner narrative. So when you look at your bank account and you look at the manifestation of your physical financial results, and you see something you don't like, what do people start to do? They contract, and they start thinking and feeling from that thing. Oh my God, 89 cents, panic. What might you feel? Shame, I shouldn't be here. I should be in a different place financially. How did I get here? How am I here again? It means that I'm a bad money manager. It means that I'm a bad salesperson, right? How many of these stories have you told yourself? How many stories have you told yourself this, even though you've made 30, 40, 50K, 20K, 10K sales? You've made money before. But these outside variables pull it up again. Now, someone that is living in the 3D, who is not creating their reality inside out, they would experience that 89 cents and it would probably ruin their day, month, year. They might stay locked into that vibration for the rest of their life. But she remembered, wait a minute, this is just a reflection of my past thinking and feeling. I get to choose how I feel. I get to be the creator. And so instead of going into this massive negative spiral, she went for a walk. She practiced the inner work that I teach, that you guys will see this week. And then she gets back to where she works. And a couple walks in and they have a multi-5-figure sale. A sale, and this is what I want you to really hear, that before she tried to make happen, one of the biggest mistakes that we make with money and wealth is that we try to make things happen, but we're not in resonance. We're not a match. So obviously it doesn't happen. Energetic alignment moves the mountains that force, logic, and over-planning never can. The couple suddenly felt that they had to buy the painting. They drove 12 hours. Boom. Same. So listen to how fast that is. She was given something in her physical reality that used to create a feeling, but she chose to decide what that meant. And then boom. Consequence, result. Can you see how fast this can be? We're going to go into these laws with much more depth, but what I want you to hear in this story is that she didn't need to get the result instantly. She went and she did the walk. She didn't need the sale to happen when she walked in to feel good. She held the inner work, she did the inner work and let go. And that's what, boom, can allow the result to come very rapidly. I'm going to speak about this in much more detail. But what I'm trying to say is that there has never, ever been a better time to do this work. If you really commit, the velocity and the results that are available now are like never before. So when I talk about $1 million healer, I'm talking about $1 million internal work, right? We can't say that we want to make $1 million, but that when it comes to our application of the teaching, we hold a €10 level. $1 million healer, because that's the standard that you're holding within yourself first. So $1 million healer means that. But it also means $1 million healer in income. When I began, and a lot of people in the healing world and lots of people that certify with us and train with us, they come in, and I've had many clients just like me, they're selling yoga classes for €20. And they're wondering why it feels so hard. It's very hard to build $1 million on a €20 yoga class framework. But that's where I began. So when I talk about $1 million healer, I'm also talking about income. I'm also talking to those of you that want to be fully satisfied in whatever profession you have chosen, but also extremely well paid. Because both can, and I'm going to use the should word, should coexist. Because if it's available to us, why wouldn't we choose it? I'm going to be breaking down some of these old archetypes of what it means to be a healer and a good person, right? So many people have confused being a healer with being a martyr. with this over-giving, overextended mother figure. That's not it. $1 Million Healer is being well-resourced financially, but also internally in terms of energy, in terms of well-being. So this is the pre-party. And today what I'm doing is I'm setting the scene. Tomorrow we're doing $1 Million Healer inner work. So the exact inner shifts required to align internally through resonance to a $1 million reality. The day after, we're doing $1 million moves. Because if you just do the little inner changes and you do your meditation every single morning, it can still not work. Because your actions have to be an embodiment of these inner shifts. So $1 million inner world, the exact shifts you need to make to resonate with millions. $1 million moves. We're going to talk about the types of action steps that are going to bring this into your reality. And then $1 million you. Because this isn't about me. This isn't about my clients. This is about you. When you're listening to this, hear this as if I'm speaking to only you. $1 million you. What does that look like? And for some of you guys, it might be $1 million target, but for some of you guys, it might be much higher because you're already there and you know how much more there is. We close with $1 million you to take this home so that you've got actually something practical and tangible to apply. I began this call saying, this is not a course. This is not just information that you listen to once and then you never come back to. Because you've done that before and you've seen that that doesn't get people results. This is a framework. It's a step-by-step process in which you are going to shift yourself internally and you're going to look at yourself. So we're going to have lots of little activities where we're going to bring awareness to you because this is about your $1 million self. And if that already feels like, can I own that? Is that possible for me? Good. This is working. If you're feeling resistance and doubt and fear, good. Good. That's exactly all the stuff that has to come up. Now, for some of you guys, you might be so close to it that you're just thinking, yeah, $1 million, that's a hop, skip and a jump. And amazing. That's just telling you that your vibrational alignment is really close. So probably just some micro shifts will get you there. All of the sessions this week from today until Friday are running at 3 to 4 p.m. CET. On the Facebook group, I've put the equivalent for a few countries, but you can just type it into Google or you can type it into chat. You just type in 3 p.m. CET, which is Spanish time, Central European time. What time is that in wherever you are? And it's going to tell you. All of the sessions this week are in the Facebook group. All of the sessions next week, which we never do, are in Zoom. You're going to see that there's 3 pop-up sessions. You've got the calendar in the group. They're going to be in Zoom. That means that you get to ask me questions. That means that we get to take this so much deeper. Giveaways, and then we're going to get into why you should even listen to me about this. We've got 2 giveaways. A couple of people emailed us today, so I want to make sure that this is really, really clear. Hi Tashi, I'll watch the replay this evening. Hello Anita, I'm in the middle of a big change. Lots of things are falling into places for me. I'm not just accepting things anymore. That's amazing. The second that you say, I'm not accepting the things that have been normal for me because I know that I'm built for more, is when you start that journey to having it, right? Okay, brilliant. So, giveaways. We've got 2 giveaways. Now, today's session doesn't count for the being on all of the lines. The reason that I say that is so often people don't read emails, including myself, right? So, this is me telling you, if you guys are live tomorrow, the day after, and the day after that, you will be entered to win a giveaway. And this is really worth your time. Even if it's slightly inconvenient to move around a few things in your calendar, it's going to be really worth your time because the prize that you can win is 5K, which you can use, not 5K in cash, 5K which you can use on any one of our products. You can use it to discount a higher ticket product, or you can get a plethora of low ticket products. The client that recently won got a couple of business courses and a few other things all within that 5K. So that's up to you. All you've got to do, there's not even any homeworks, right, is come to the live sessions. That's it. And you can win 5K discount on any product. Little tiny print under there, any new product. If you've got a current payment plan with us, you can't use it on that, okay? You can use it on new purchases, just to make sure I'm really clear. Hello, Tanika. Okay, I will be live. Brilliant. That's the first giveaway. The second giveaway is the sharing giveaway. So I feel so strongly about this work, and you're going to hear why, okay? I feel so strongly about this work that we always put a sharing giveaway. The sharing giveaway is so that you guys share this event with people around you. All you've got to do is share it with 5 people, and then you email me, or you email the team at team@theschoolofintegrativhealing.com, or you message me on any social media platform. You've just got to say the word done. If you share with 5 people, you'll be entered to win a giveaway, which I will pull this Friday, and the winner gets a 4-modality clearing with me. That's where we take a lifelong pattern. We take a lifelong pattern, right? And we clean it up using 4 modalities. So can be, and I do have people that have a session and experience a really, really rapid shift afterwards, because we're able to identify something subconsciously that's been creating results that they don't want. Okay? This is the practical things that you guys need. Amazing, Anita. Thank you, Lucas, for sharing that link. Karen says, I'm traveling tomorrow and you'll catch the replay. Absolutely fine. The replays will be in the group. Okay, we got through the practical things. I'm going to share a little bit about me and why you should care. Like, who is this woman? Lots of you guys have probably never watched a training with me before. The email, Lucas, will you type the email into the chat section? That'd be brilliant. Thank you. So why listen to me? I know I've got a few of my clients here, but we've got a lot of people that have joined Million Dollar Healer that have never done any form of course or program with me before. So for those of you guys that know the story, I want you guys to listen to this as if this was the first time that you heard it, as if I am telling you this to you. Because my story, yes, it's interesting. For some of you guys, it's going to be like, okay, I understand. I've got context to her. This makes sense, right? But it's actually a teaching example, because within my story, you can see the work that I teach being applied. My life has been a living embodiment of this for years. So listen to the lesson. Listen as if this is you applying this work. Listen to the possibility in what I'm about to tell you. Don't go into, because this is one of the big mistakes that people make. They go, oh, it's all right for her. You know, when we don't believe, I remember when I decided that I wanted to make my first million, and I would see these people online talking about millions, and I'd think to myself, oh, well, it's all right for her because she had a rich family, or it's all right for her because her boyfriend works in tech, or it's all right for her because she started younger than me. And I'd create all of these reasons in my mind for why I'm different to the person telling me a story. And what would happen would be then I could never receive what was being told. I couldn't receive the information that was being shared. I couldn't receive it because I'd made her or him and their story separate to me. So I would go, oh, wouldn't it be nice? They've got it easier than me. Watch that. Listen to this story as if I'm telling it to you. Amazing. Thank you, Sandra. Listen to this story as if I'm telling it about you. Listen to this as if it's the first time that you've heard it, and listen for the lessons, not just the story arc. Who am I? Hannah, obviously. I haven't even said my name. It is spelt with a J. I've also just realised I'm sat on a leather chair in a leather skirt and it's making all sorts of noises. So we're just going to we're going to ride that wave. We're going to accept it. But if you can hear these bizarre leathery noises, it's because I didn't think my skirt through, which is so sad because I bloody love this skirt. Anyway, my name is Hannah. I always say this. I'm like, guys, I know how to spell my name. I know it said Hannah, but it starts with a J. That's because my dad liked the name Hannah, think Hannah Montana, and my mum was Spanish, and so she felt it was very, very important that my Spanishness was represented in my name. So they basically made up my name. They said, okay, we'll call her Hannah, how it's spoken, but we're just going to spell it Jana. As you can imagine, an absolute delight at school. Anyway, I began more with the healing aspect than I did the business aspect. Actually, I was not interested in business until my late 20s. Like, I really, really could not have thought less about wealth, business. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I never considered being an entrepreneur. I probably didn't know what an entrepreneur was. And I say that because some of you guys will have been business people from a very young age. You would have done a business degree, or you would have gone into some form of, I don't know, infrastructure that was business orientated. But some of you guys, like me, are going to be more on the creative side. I was interested more in freedom. I was understanding who I was. That was more of my priority. My priority was, who is Hannah and what is a life well lived? That was my internal real dialogue for many, many, many years before I even considered building wealth, before I even realized that wealth was a possibility for me. So, quick backstory. Like most people that go into personal development, I didn't just, oh, I feel so good, I'm going to study myself. No. By the time I was 19, and I always summarize this really quickly, I was diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and an eating disorder, okay? In the same 3 weeks in which my mum was diagnosed with cancer. Now, when I tell this story more extensively, and I'm going to drop a podcast in where I go into my story in more detail, I'm going to drop it into the Facebook group and you can listen to it because I don't want to go that deep today. I want you guys to have an idea, but mostly I want us to do a bit of a process and a practice today. A quick one, right? So I'll drop that in later. You can listen to it. But in summary, that really began when I was 19 years old, this journey of internal self-inquiry. And it began this journey of me learning how to heal from these diagnoses that I had, but also learning to live simultaneously to watching my mother die. And as you can imagine, this was a very formative time for me. From about 19 to 25, like I said, business wasn't a thing. I was just exploring modalities. I was just desiring to probably fix myself at that point. I no longer believe in fixing people or that we are broken, but at that time I really did feel that way. So many things happened within that time. I studied so many aspects of healing. So this is why I say to people, when I created my system of healing, which is called integrative healing, right? Which is blending lots of different modalities and dimensions of healing into one simple system. It really was based on over a decade of personal research, study, working with clients, and my own internal application. I'm not going to go into all of that. But what I will say is when I watched my mother be ill, because I'm going to talk to you about the seed of desire that was planted, that led to the wealth that I've built. I don't know how many of you guys have been in a situation where having money isn't acute desire. You are really shown what money can give you and the cost of not having it. When my mum got ill with cancer, we explored multiple alternative directions. My parents were a lot more, I would say, resistant to those avenues than I was. One of the avenues that we started to explore were nutritional approaches. Now, obviously, at this time, I did not know what I know now. And if I was going through it now, it may have been a different situation. I say this without knowing it because you can't know that for certain, and I'm not going to make a claim. But one of the things that Mum needed to buy to be on this cancer diet that she went on was a lot of supplements. And there was one day, and I remember this, being sat on this couch with my parents, and my parents are having this massive argument. They're not arguing about the cancer. They're not arguing about anything probably of any weight. They're arguing about money. They had money, and yet they were absolutely terrified to buy a huge amount of supplements, although my mum had terminal cancer. This has been one of these core seeds that was planted in my mind. Sometimes life gives us experiences of contrast. So experiences of lacking love, lacking money, lacking resources, lacking internal education, because what happens when there's lack is that desire is born. And as I watched them have this argument, it was interesting for me because the money was there, but the relationship with money was so fearful and such from a place of scarcity and lack that just buying these supplements, and I repeat, she had terminal cancer, created such a state of inner worry that I promised myself that won't be me. And the internal promise that I made to myself wasn't just to build physical wealth, because you can build physical wealth, and I have many clients that come to me that have built physical wealth, but they've never healed their relationship with money. So although their bank accounts are stacked and their houses are massive and they might have all of the latest cars, how they internally experience money is still sleepless nights, it's still anxiety, it's still fear. That's not freedom. So when I talk about $1 Million Healer, we're talking about a higher level of freedom because you're creating financial freedom. But through this internal work, you're also creating internal freedom. It is not the same to have a lot of money and a lot of assets and to live in fear and anxiety. To work on yourself internally and also create the results that you want externally. I was about 25 when I saw this argument play out. And it was multiple years before I began the business, but the seed was planted there. In that moment, and again, I want this to be heard, I was waitressing. My longest standing job was waitressing. My longest standing job was waitressing. It made no sense for me to internally declare that I was going to make millions. It made no sense for me to internally declare that I was going to build a business that changed so many people's lives, but also completely changed my internal reality and my financial reality. And yet that's what happened. It doesn't matter where you are. It matters that you know where you want to go. It matters that you are innerly, it's not really English, fun fact about me, and you guys will notice this, that because I live between Spanish and English, if I can't find the word that's going to fit, I'm going to make it up. And if we all understand each other, then there's absolutely no problem. But I made this choice. So I made this choice to make my passion, which was the healing work, my full-time occupation, but I also made a choice to change my financial situation. From when integrative healing was born, per se, as in I sat down, wrote out this system, it took me about 1.5 years probably to put the system together. And then, you know, in terms of study to get there, we're talking a decade, okay? We're talking, I mean, I'm 33 now, so you guys can do all the maths on these dates if you guys are maths people. The first year that I went live with integrative healing, we did 6 figures. We did way more than 6 figures. We did 180,000. Not bad. for the girl that didn't have a business degree. Not bad for the girl whose longest job was waitressing. Not bad for the girl who just studied for the pleasure of studying and then realized that she had gold, right? Because that's what integrative healing really is. The system of integrative healing is like having a manual to life. And I felt under the responsibility personally to share it. We did a $250,000 launch in my first year in 3 months. And we crossed the €1 million line, which is different to dollar because we would have crossed the dollar amount before. But we're using dollar because everyone says dollar and it's more universally said. But we function in euros here within year 3. It's just continued to grow. And something that I say, which might annoy someone listening to it, but I'm going to say it anyway, is that the growth trajectory that we had in this business was not normal. It was not a normal, logical, boom, 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 like this really like slow growth. It was rapid, it was exponential. Sometimes, obviously, there were slower moments, and I want you guys to think that all we did was grow, right? When I had to learn something or the business had to change. But it wasn't a normal trajectory, let alone for someone that didn't come from that world. So what did we do really, really well? Creating from the inside out. Because when you understand the laws of the universe, when you understand energetics, and like I said, we're being pushed towards creating this way, you can't lose because you are the creator. You are the creator. And if you choose to create something, that's your choice. That commands the universe, right? But we do this kind of creation journey in this really wishy-washy way. From this place of such, oh, I hope it works for me. And then obviously, it can't. So as you guys listen today, I want you to start thinking about, are you claiming and owning your first $1 million? Maybe you've already made $1 million. And so your next step is, how can I make $1 million faster and faster and faster? Because that's all collapsing time is energetically. You make 100K and then you learn how to make that 100K faster, faster and faster. We started with it, in a year, and then shorter and shorter and shorter into a week, into 6 days. So are you committing as you listen to this training for this to not just be a training that you go to online and kind of it's interesting? Are you committing to making $1 million? Are you committing to receiving $1 million? Or are you committing to becoming a match to receiving $1 million faster than you ever have before? Because I know some of you guys already have hit that benchmark. Now, money for me, and you're going to hear this within the whole experience, money for me is a spiritual practice. And I'm going to flesh that out as we go. Money for me is not about greed. It's not about doing it to prove your worthiness. Money for me is a spiritual practice. And it's going to show you, right, your strengths, the things within you that are a beautiful match to that. And it's also going to show you your shadows. But that's what makes it a spiritual practice. Now, many of my clients have gone on to do this. This isn't just me, right? I know we've got Anita here. She joined the Global Uni last year and she sold 15 million in homes in 2025. She doubled her revenue from last year. I've had clients who have been hippies their whole life. They get to their 40s, they realize that they need something completely different, and then they scale to 6 figures. And now they're on that upward tangent. I've got clients sell 22K offers that were selling €20 yoga classes before, have 30K weeks, when before they were with me, the highest thing they had sold was a €20 yoga class. I began as well, and I will tell these stories as we go through. Selling women's circles for €13 and then realizing this does not work. You can't live off a few €100 a month and even survive, right? But let's bring it back to you. I want us to do a quick meditation before we close. And tomorrow we're going to go into $1 Million Inner World. So we're going to talk about those exact shifts to create millions in your reality. But for today, I want to start creating awareness about where you're at. So finding yourself a comfortable position. If you're in a car, you can just do this with your eyes open, right? Anita's doing a big bang there. Ella, here to heal my relationship with money and pass on a healthier relationship to my kids. I love that. I love that. I love that. Exactly. Because when you change something within yourself, you're not the only one that receives the positive consequences from that, right? That shifts the relationship with money for those around you. Amazing. Brilliant. If you're in a car, keeping your eyes open as you drive, obviously. If you are somewhere where you can sit down and do the process, now's the time to sit down and do the process. If you are walking, again, you can still do this as a walking meditation, right? So it's better for you to have your eyes closed and come inwards, but if you can't, that's fine. And then you can always redo this before bed, okay? I would love for everyone that's watching this to have done this before tomorrow, because like I said, everything makes sense together. So I'm going to start to play the music. Closing your eyes. And we're going to start using our awareness in the present moment to start taking stock of where we're going to start using our awareness in the present moment to start mapping out timelines that exist. Because there are always multiple timelines from where we are. And we choose which timeline we go on with our thoughts and our feelings and our actions. But the problem is, most of us aren't aware of what we're choosing. So we're just going to do this practice to bring awareness to what we're choosing and what we're creating, and whether it's in alignment to millions or not. So bringing your eyes closed, if you can, if appropriate. And we're just going to start getting comfortable in a chair, or maybe laying down. And we're just going to start bringing inhales through our nose, and we're going to exhale through our mouth. And you're just going to start to feel your body heavy like lead, and it drops. Almost like you're a puppet and you've had your strings cut. You drop, you drop, you drop. And in front of you, with your eyes closed, you're going to see multiple paths showing to you how many paths are available to you. And directly in front of your eye gaze, you're going to see an arrow pointing forward. And you're going to understand internally that that's the pathway that you're going on if you change nothing. So any second now, I'm going to ask you to imagine that your internal self can jump up through the top of your head 5 years in the future. And we're going to do that on 3, 2, 1. Inhale, exhale, jump. You're being shown 5 years in the future if nothing changes? And just see. See what's in front of you. You chose to change nothing. You stayed on the trajectory that you're currently on. Are you pleased with your life? What do your finances look like? Do you feel fulfilled? Any second now, we're going to do the same, but this time we're going to jump another 5 years forward. So 3, 2, 1, jumping 5 years ahead. So you're now 10 years ahead of where you are in the present moment. And you're taking stock. Are you where you want to be? Are you even on the right trajectory? If you are, congratulate yourself. You did it. If not, what around you don't you like? Are you happy with where you are? Financially, relationally, in terms of health? Any second now, maintaining our eyes closed, we're going to jump back to the present moment. 3, 2, 1. And in this present moment, keeping your eyes closed, just start to notice that you have the power to change. You have the power to get intentional with your desires. You have the power to create your reality. And so this time, I want you to notice your internal focus is getting pointed slightly to the left. And this time we're going to jump again 5 years forward, but we're going to jump 5 years forward to when you make the commitment to yourself, to becoming $1 million healer, for building wealth for yourself and the generations to come. 3, 2, 1. Jumping 5 years from now. What's changed after you made that commitment? How does your life look differently when you have this new baseline of wealth? Did it improve anything around your reality? Take it in. How does it feel to have completely transformed your financial destiny? Any second now, we're going to jump backwards. 3, 2, 1. Jumping back into your present moment, keeping your eyes closed. And just notice what you notice and feel what you feel. Having the awareness that in this present moment, what you choose directly creates what's coming. That every present moment is filled with potentiality. You can keep doing what you've always done, or you can allow yourself to choose possibility. It might seem like a small moment in your reality, but actually just notice the distinction between both of the futures. Both of the futures that are available for you right now. And so we're going to start coming back any second. But as we start to come back, I'd like you to contemplate this before we begin tomorrow. How could my life change if I actually chose millions? If I actually chose a different reality? If I actually chose to believe that change was possible for me? You don't need to know all of the steps. You don't need to know the how yet. You just need the desire or the decision for the change. We're going to start opening our eyes on 1, 2, 3. Opening your eyes. Moving your fingers and your toes, coming back to the room. And we've got 2 minutes before we end. It's okay if we go a couple of minutes over, for you to share about that experience in the chat. What did you see? Where are you if you change nothing? And what happens when you make a decision for transformation? If when I was waitressing with my mum, being her caregiver, I decided to keep everything the same, instead of believing in possibility, I would be back in the UK, probably waitressing, confused about my purpose, not knowing what I could do or bring to the world. There are a lot of things that are now part of my reality that are a very, very normal part of my reality that would not exist if I'd not made that decision, and continued to back it again and again and again. Because we'll talk about this in the days to come. We don't just choose possibility once. We don't just choose millions once. We have to live in devotion to that change, that choice, in the time that it takes. And this is where people get caught up. Because they say, I chose once, but it's not all magically here yet. Choosing is something that moves within time. It's not static. It's not once. It's continual. Sandra says, I cried a lot through the process. Amazing. I'm assuming then, Sandra, that you had some really helpful awarenesses. I'm choosing the changed version. Amazing, Pia. I have tingling in my legs after the meditation. I feel much lighter. I love that for you. Kim says, interestingly, my first vision was actually all the things I'm working towards and the things that I'm manifesting. The second was a totally different lifestyle I hadn't even considered, a lot to contemplate. I feel very energized. Kim is one of my clients. So she's like, well, the trajectory that I'm on is actually excellent, but I've just realized there is something even more excellent. How can you tell if someone's like actually working with me? They're like, well, all of my timelines are fabulous. How do you know? They're actually... Making the decision changes everything from the inside out. Yeah, beautiful. Staying the same reminds me of my aunt, reliving generational patterns. And this is literally it for some of you guys. The choice of change is the distinction between repeating cycles that have been in generations in your family to actually setting a new precedent for everyone that comes after you. I see even more change, really feeling that I'm on the right trajectory already. But when we went left, it felt even easier. I see Christmas. People aren't going to understand that. Anita's one of my clients. She's just been in Morocco, and her affirmation is everyone wants to come to my village. And it's actually happening. Anita's commanding reality, but what she wants to manifest isn't just wealth. It's like she's got my sister, she's got my partner on board, and there's gonna be a new Pulse Christmas. Sandra says, I feel so much better and I know where to go. I love that, Sandra. Feel really unsettled whilst in the first reality, no change, but more comfortable and thinking about choosing consciously. Yeah. And this is such a simple exercise, and I'll leave you guys with this because like I said, we've really just whet our palates today. It's like you go to a restaurant and they bring you that like miniature appetizer and you're like, that was delicious, but I need more. Where's more? What happens next? What about the main course, right? Today you've had a little appetizer. Teeny weeny little appetizer, but we're going to really have the full buffet this week, right? But I wanted you to start actually bringing it inwards, right? And so if you felt unsettled in that first reality, and if that upset you, good. Because what I'm forcing you guys to do is to take stock now, because now you've got the power. And I'm going to leave you on a really final, very intense thing. Okay, I'm forewarning this. What I'm going to say is super intense, but it's designed to awaken something in you. Let me read what Ella says. My new reality in 5 years, I'm thriving, working with ease and flow, financially abundant, emotional attachment that I felt amazing, of living in creative joy. Beautiful. And that's totally available for you, right? The reason that I do this process and practice with you guys and my clients, and I do it for myself, I do this for myself all of the time, by the way. If I keep choosing what I'm choosing, where will I be? Oh, no. Okay, what do I want instead? And I actually like play out timelines in my mind of if I keep this habit, what's going to happen? If I keep having this thought, what's going to happen? If I keep not taking responsibility over this thing, what's going to happen? What do I want instead? And it's been one of the number one things, like running timelines. It's been one of the number one things that I've done that's led to the growth and the success of the business. This is what I'll close you on. My work began being by the bedside of someone passing away. And it was not a rapid passing away. It was slow. 7 years is a long time. She was terminal for 3.5. My mother died at 56 years old. And And the mistake that she made her whole life was thinking that there is oodles and oodles of time. And I do not say this to invoke pressure or fear. I do this to bring presence to your decisions, to remind you that your power is now. It's not in a year, it's not in 10. I watched her pass away, being very dissatisfied with her life. And this is one of the greatest gifts a mother can give her daughter. And I say that with utter conviction, because watching her pass, her book not written, all of the jobs and passions that she had, she didn't go for them. And I realized that time does not lead to results. I have to choose it. I have to choose to create it. And I have to choose to be that architect of my reality. That gifted me at 25 years old conviction in bucket loads, because I realized I can regret this in the future or I can choose differently now. When I used to do these trainings, I would take people through the 5 Regrets of the Dying, a book by Bonnie Ware, which I recommend that everyone reads. She worked with many, many end-of-life patients, and she realized that the regrets that all of these people had were similar. I wish I allowed myself to be myself was the number one. I wish I allowed myself to go for what I really wanted. The beauty for me and you guys that we're listening to this is that you're listening to this at a point where you have got power and you have got time. And we're going into a new season of reality with consciousness, like I said, this bridge year, where everything is pushing us to create from the inside out, which means that people prior, right, maybe the healers, the creatives that didn't make as much money, or we had these stereotypes in our mind, are actually being pushed higher. There's never been more opportunity. There has never been a better time. And I'm so grateful that you are here. I'll see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Contemplate what we've done. I'm going to put a thread up so you can share, again, whether you're listening to this live on the replay later, share what you saw in 5 years and share the choices that you are now facing as you realize this. Share the choices that you need to make to get to that left path. There couldn't be a better time to be doing this, and I'm so happy to be spending this time together. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 3 p.m.